The rise in new infections seems to be slowing in Spain. The country's hospitals, though, are still overwhelmed. And after weeks of loss and more deaths predicted, trying to keep coronavirus at bay in public spaces is paramount. And residents are reminded they should stay at home. Spain will remain in lockdown until April the 25th, but the Prime Minister says there is now room for hope.
After weeks of this fight, which has been for moments agonizing, we see how the fire the pandemic released is starting to come under control. The figures are encouraging. We have reached the peak of COVID-19 and we are close to the beginning of the descent.
In Germany, the lockdown appears to be working, with Berlin's landmarks empty, deserted even.
The latest coronavirus numbers in Germany are a reason for some hope. The increase is flattening and the current number of infections is lowering a bit if we count the people who recovered and those who lost their lives.
More than 18,000 people have died in Italy. Its squares remain empty. The impact of weeks of restrictions is clear to see. For those families hardest hit, the government says loan and mortgage repayments will be suspended. And there are questions about who will help pay for the pandemic.
Innanzitutto l'Italia è parte integrante dell'Unione Europea.
Italy is an integral part of the EU. The EU must show a strong, swift and unified response to the repercussions of this pandemic. We have to provide answers about politics, finance and the economy because this is in all of our interests. This does not only concern Italy but also Spain and all countries that face economic and social problems.
And those questions are being asked across Europe. It is grappling with this crisis from the north to the south. Nowhere is untouched by it. There have been deep divisions, though, inside the EU about how it should be financed. Days of talks have now resulted in an agreement held by the French finance minister as the most important economic plan in the EU's history. It will allow credit from the bloc's bailout fund to go to the worst affected countries until the crisis is over.
This emergency plan will shield our economic and social fabric as we dive into a recession. When the health crisis abates, we will need to spur the economic recovery. It is imperative that we grow together.
For many families in Europe, Easter weekend would usually mark a time of togetherness. Coronavirus will mean many will now spend it apart or remembering those who they've lost. Emma Hayward, Aljazeera.